Good morning, YouTube. Thank you for joining me this morning for the episode 299 of the Solid Sports Video Blog. Today's date is July 16th, 2025. I'm Troy West, and thank you so much for watching. We got a big week this week. We got today's show. We got Friday night streams, of course. It'll be later time at 10 o'clock special time. I'm going to stay up at 10. I got a surprise I'm going to try to put in for that. So stay tuned for that. So I'm not going to announce the game until then. And then Saturday evening, we do our 300th episode. Saturday used to be one of our normal days when we did the blog. Um, we'll look back at some things. We're going to focus, though, on the NFL Roundabout series. So, not going to talk about much football today. We're going to focus on the MLB All Star game, which was a great game last night. Wound up being a great game, great ending. Um, and we'll look ahead to the second half of the Major League Baseball season. Look at the standings, where everybody stand. Um, and today's show probably more entertaining is I'm going to look at some NBA news, but I'm going to do my top 10 NBA list players of all time. Of course, everybody will start to talk about that again. Of course, it's the summer. Say like, as soon as the season ends, the Jordan, LeBron, Kobe, and any other player gets into that, um, that debate goes. So I'm gonna give my thoughts on it. I made a list 3 years ago. I'm gonna reveal if I've changed my list since then. Um, but yeah, it's gonna be a fun thing to talk about. Of course, LeBron James in the news. Unhappy in LA, and of course, every time he's in the news, the Jordan debate comes up once again. So I'm gonna give my thoughts on it. And that's pretty much the base of the show today. Don't know how long we're going to be. Last week it was quick. We was only under 30 minutes. This could be another show of that, unless some people come in and start chatting. Other than that, I'm just going to do my content and get up out of here. But we got a big week this week, so thank you guys for being here. We had 353 subscribers. We've been steady there for the last about week or so. So shout out to all my new subscribers. Like I said, I'm gonna start. I just gotta pick a day of the week. I think I'm gonna make it Thursdays when I do shout outs. I'm gonna start trying to do some shout outs. Because I can see some of my subscriber lists. And if I ain't see you on there before, I definitely shout you out. That's why I rather. But it's much easier if you just comment. That really helps a lot for me to do it. But like I said, I need to get a laptop to make things more easier for myself. So that day will come soon, sooner than later, I guess. Um, but thank you guys for being here this morning. So, like I said, we got two shows this week. Um, got time, and I also got some freedom. So, um, definitely wanted to get it, especially as our 300th show. Um, like I said, we probably should be, if we never took any breaks, we'd probably be around 600 episodes. I'm probably double that. If we would never have took the breaks that we took. But I'm glad to be here. Glad to be here this morning. Hope everybody having a good week, a good summer so far. Staying safe, staying cool. Of course, the tragedy in Texas, which is not sports related, but the summer camp tragedy, well, the floods period. Um, that's been probably the most eventful thing that happened this summer, which is not great to talk about. Um, but thoughts with those, with all the victims there, and a lot of people have done a great job donating and helping out with that. So um, I did hear about it, so I just wanted to touch on that real quick. Um, so let's get into the MLB All Star Game. It was a great game, but I admit I didn't watch it live. I guess my big bro didn't want to watch the game. Like I said, he's a diehard Orioles fan. It wasn't really a lot. I think it was probably about one or two Orioles. I think Ron Hearn was a DH starter. I think he might was the only Oriole that made it this year. So if it was a lot of Orioles in it, he probably would have watched. So I ain't bothering him. I could have probably watched it on my phone, but I said, you know what? I just watched the extended highlights, so that's what I did. And I was like, wow, what a game it was. National League jumped up 6-0. I think in the first like 3 or 4 innings. American League stormed all the way back, tied it at 6, and then the swing off. Of course, two things they implemented this year: the swing off also because they don't want extra innings. So that's the way. I think they should keep that. I think that was a great idea. I liked it how that ended with Kyle Schwarber. He was the MVP. 3 for 3. You get 3 swings to hit a home run. You get 3 batters each league. So I wonder what happened if it was been tied after everybody batted. But we ain't had to worry about that because Schwarber um, ended it. Uh, and I enjoyed it. I enjoyed it. Even just watching the highlights, I know I would have enjoyed the game if I'd have watched. But it was a great game. I was excited. I wanted to also see Paul Skeens. I haven't seen him a lot pitch, and he looks sharp. Tyrus Skruble, he had a rough first inning, gave up 2 runs, but you could see the talent in that young man. So those two guys are probably the next two top pitchers in this game. Skeens is only his second year, and he started. He started last year in the game. He started this year, so big accomplishments for him. And Struble sort of came out of nowhere. The Tigers' best record in baseball, I believe, right now. So um, the game is in a lot of young players. Bobby Witt Jr. was out there. Ronald Acuna for the Braves. He had a hit. Um, Peter Alonso for the Mets. Underrated player to me. He don't get talked about in the he's not the first guy you think about in baseball. But it was a great game. It was I wish I'd have watched it live, but it was a great game. All Star to me, this is what baseball do has over the NFL and the NBA. They got the best All Star game. It's not even close, especially now. Um, the NBA is sort of faded off because most of the players don't even play. Um, and NFL, of course, now they've down to basically a flag football game. Um, because when I was coming up, the Pro Bowl, I loved the Pro Bowl when I was coming up. It was still, they still made sure people didn't get hurt, so it wasn't you couldn't blitz. There's still certain stuff you could make it a real football game, but I just liked to see all the players together um, when I was a kid. But I mean, yeah, I get it. You don't want your players to get hurt. Football, you easily could get hurt. NBA, same thing, but I think the NBA could do things a little bit better because the NBA to me used to be the best All Star weekend, with the dunk contest and all that. The dunk contest has faded, and we're gonna talk basketball more later. But I really now start to believe LeBron sort of did ruin the dunk contest because back then the stars, the Jordans, the Dominique Wilkins, the best dunkers actually and players actually participated in it. Once LeBron sort of didn't, I think that opened up the floodgates for other top players not to do it anymore. It really ain't been great since Vince Carter um, did it 20 years ago. Really since then, I mean, you had some great contests. Nate Robinson made it great. The kid now, McLaurin, Mick somebody. It ain't coming to my mind, but he played for the Sixers. I don't think he won it again this year. The Aaron Gordon won. Blake Griffin, I give him credit, even though his was, he did his thing, but it wasn't the best contest. But at least he played, participated in it. So I think LeBron. I don't want to say he ruined the contest, but I think he made stars say, nah, I don't, So, but MLB, they got the best All Star. It was a great, great scene, a great game, and baseball, like I said, it's a love it or hate it sport. I've been watching baseball for 30 years. I'm not going to stop following baseball. I'm always going to talk about baseball on my show. At least that's why I always do it in the beginning to get it out the way. And I don't want to be. I never want to make it a race thing, but I don't know a lot of my brothers that like baseball. Well, my older brother do, but he's an older guy. He in his 60s, so Um, but I mean, like I said, baseball they trying. They trying to change. They try to speed the game up because that's what people was complaining about. It take too long. It take too long. But you either go. I mean, with things, anything in life, you either go like it or you not. So I think baseball need to just focus on the fans that you have. Yeah, make changes here and there where you think you need to. Like this change. Like I like this. I think they should keep the All Star game like this. I really think they should. Um, all these like you hear people, say what they say, but I mean, I think baseball done a great job this year with the All Star game. It was great in Atlanta. I'm a Braves fan. I put my Braves hat on today. Um, my Braves was well represented. Matt Olson was out there. I told you Acuna. So, um, but it was a great scene. It was a great game. They honored Hank Aaron. Of course, he passed away um, a few years back. They honored him. Um, reenacted his 715 home run when he passed Ruth, of course, um, when he did it at home in Atlanta. So that was great to see. I saw the highlights of that. So it was a great scene. It was great. I wish I'd have saw it live, but it is what it is. But it was a great game. Baseball should be proud. Um, and I'm looking forward to wherever it is next year. I'm definitely going to try to watch. We might have to save two starting pitchers because these two guys ain't going anywhere. Um, it was another good scene. My man Freddie Freeman, even though he a Dodger, he was one of my favorite Braves. Um, he was honored a little bit. The crowd, gave him his flowers. Won a World Series here with the Braves. What was it, 20? I want to say it was 21. Um, I think it was the year 21 we won. But yeah, so it was great to see all of that last night. So congratulations to MLB. And second half is going to look great. And speaking of that, we're about to talk about the second half, which starts Friday, so they get another couple of days off before they get back on the field. So let's look at the standings, wild card standings, and everything. See where people stand. Um, American League East, we always start there. Blue Jays with a 2-game lead over the Yankees. Boston, been on fire. Now 8 games over. I think they won they won 10 in a row going into the break. Um, just amazing how this team has gotten off the mat. Rays and Yankees been sort of sliding a little bit. So it's going to be a great. I thought honestly the Yankees were going to run away with the division, not run away, but keep distance. But now I think this is going to be a dogfight. I don't think Boston's going to. I think Tampa's going to still compete as well. I just hope the Orioles try to get back into it. This would be a great division, but I think this is definitely the best division in baseball. It's not even close. Um, Maybe for Baltimore, of course, I'm an Orioles fan too. I always get the flack from Orioles fans. Well, how can you be a Braves fan? All that stuff. I tell the story every time, but yeah, it's going to be a great second half of the season in this division. Can Toronto hold on? I guess that's the question. But I think the Yankees and the Red Sox, and the Rays all going to have something to say about it. Rays are 5.5 back. So yeah, but the Red Sox can't believe it quietly. And I didn't know. Speaking of the All Star, I didn't know Ronald Chapman was in Boston. I didn't know that. So he's proven, um, you know, what he can do. So Boston, you have to watch out for him for the rest of the season. So great division. Blue Jays though currently on top of that. Central look like it's going to be all Detroit. I don't see anybody else coming back and challenging them. Everybody else is more than 10 games back. Minnesota, Kansas City, Cleveland all pretty much bunched up there. And then the White Sox um, at last place back 27 back. AL West, like I said, the Astros again continue to dominate this division. Seattle's 5 out. Texas a game under, the 8.5. Angels 2 under, 9.5, and the A's, who had some All Stars last night, they are 16 down. Go to the National League. Going to be a dogfight in the East between the Mets and the Phillies. I think it's going to be back and forth for the rest of the season. Miami Marlins in third, 10.5. My Braves 12.5 back. We fought a little bit, got back into it a little bit. Now we faded again. We got to make a push. I'm not gonna give up on them yet, but the best I can see is a wild card for them, if that. And the Nationals, 38-58-17 out of first. NL Central, excuse me. Chicago Cubs and the Milwaukee Brewers are hand in hand there. Brewers are game back behind the Cubs. St. Louis Cardinals 6.5. Cincinnati Reds 3/7.5, and then Pittsburgh. Um, that's why I feel bad for Paul Skinks. Um, you know, being on this team, but the Pirates, last year they got off to a great start. The last 2 years they actually started off well and then faded, but this time they sort of stumbled out the gate from the beginning. Um, National League West, of course, is the Dodgers, 5.5 back. I think that's going to probably get bigger over the Padres and the Giants. They probably go back and forth for second place. Diamondbacks, I'm not going to count them out yet. They had proven over the years that um, they don't quit. So even though they're 11 out, I'm not going to count them out at least for a wild card. And the Rockies fairly get the 20 wins. They got 22, but they 35.5 out of first. So now let's check out the wild card. Of course, the Yankees and the Red Sox have the two top spots in the American League. Seattle holding on to that third spot. Tampa a game and a half. Texas 3.5 out of the wild card. They got Minnesota LA Angels 4. Royals Guardians 4.5. Orioles 7.5, and then everybody else. Well, the only last two teams, A's and White Sox, 11 and basically 20 for the White Sox. So uh, just to look, just to talk about the O's again. 7.5 is not impossible, but I guess it's just is 7.5 is not bad, but just when you got what 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, because if you count Seattle, 7 teams in front of you, somebody's going to win some games. Like all these teams are not going to fade, so you basically got to win games and just hope things fall into place for you. And that's the issue there. But 7.5 is not impossible. But all these teams, that's why another thing baseball do well. You still pretty much have hope until September, maybe, and then you see where you are then. But now is the time you got to start putting together some wins. You can't have like a long losing streak or anything like that, or that would definitely put you behind the 8 ball. National League, Brewers are your top team in the wild card. Then you got the Mets plus 2.5. Then the Padres in that final spot, but the Giants are just a half game out. St. Louis just a game and a half. Cincinnati 2.5, and then it takes a little bit of distance. Arizona 5.5. Miami 7.5. My Braves 9.5. But same issue with the Orioles. Too many teams in front of you. 9.5 not impossible, but gotta just start to win. Pittsburgh, Washington, Colorado, all over 10 back. Colorado 30 games back out of wild card. So basically, the Rockies could pretty much definitely eliminate them. Washington, I say Pittsburgh also. I think those 3 teams are done. And the same with the American League. The A's and the White Sox, and are done. But it's gonna be an interesting second half of the season, like I said. So can't wait for it. I'm gonna start focusing, watching more games, try to watch more games since now it's the second half of the season. Trade deadline is the 31st as always. So see if any trades go down. This is the time you might see a trade or two. So definitely keep an eye out on that. The date is 16th, so got about 2 weeks. So you might see some moves made within the next week or so. So look out for that. But that's our baseball portion of the show. Thank you so much. The All-Star game was great. I enjoyed watching even just the highlights. So now we're gonna move on to the NBA. We're gonna get to my top 10 list in a minute. But first, let's just look at some regular NBA news. Summer League, of course, biggest news out the Summer League, of course, even though not surprising, the Mavericks shuts down Cooper Flag, but I think it's smart. You don't want the kid to go out there and get hurt doing well, I don't want to say meaningless, but pretty much meaningless Summer League games. Everybody get pumped up to see the rookies, but then after about the first week, it sort of fades. So he played 2 games, played pretty great, especially the second game. Excuse me, it's wind blowing in here. Um, so I think it was smart to go ahead and do that. Um, but other than that, it was good to see some of the rookies. Seeing Dylan Harper and some of the other rookies play. Um, but not surprised that they shut him down. I think it's smart. So, um, but if you still will see some young players, it's good to watch the summer league. Um, they popped up last week the flag against Brody, you know, game. So NBA got them a little bit, got they little taste in the spotlight. Um, but now that's summer league's about to sort of fade now. But hardcore basketball fans will definitely still watch a couple games. So quick news. Off the more off season news. Um, Victor Wembanyama be cleared for basketball activities. I'm so glad to hear this because these blood clot things, you just never know how they're gonna go. Um, via Chris Bosh, I always think about him, how his career ended basically off of that. Um, I'm glad the young man's okay. I guess just keep an eye on that. But I'm glad he's able to play because the Spurs going to be an interesting team to watch next year. And if he's healthy, to go along with De'Aaron Fox. Now they got Harper and the young kid, the other young guard. Name ain't coming to me right now. But they got a good team there. So we'll see what they do. But I'm glad to hear that. So great news. I was happy to hear that yesterday. Maybe not good news for the Sixers. Paul George had another knee surgery. Um, they say he might be ready for training camp, but Paul George, he's been up and down really since you go back to Indiana. When he had that gruesome leg injury in the Olympics. Ever since then, he's really been, injury prone. Of course, his Clippers, his OKC, that was a good run he had there, but that was still sort of disappointing. And then the Clippers stay wasn't great either. And the Sixers thing has been disappointing as well. So I hope he just get healthy and get back to something that he used to be. Because the Sixers got a chance. If they healthy, they got a chance in the East, especially this year with Indiana and Boston dealing with the injuries they dealt with to bring them down. I still, the Knicks done some good things in the offseason, but they still the Knicks. And I don't mean that necessarily in a bad way, but until you see it get done, the Knicks right now, Cleveland also. Those two teams, yeah, they're clearly the two top teams right now, but they have proven in the playoffs that they, all sort of hit a wall. So, if the Sixers get healthy, they had a high draft pick, Tyrese Maxey, but be a year better. So they got a shot if they're healthy in the East this year. So Embiid as well, he got to get back on the court as well. So I just hope he gets back healthy so we can see them this at least at full strength for most of the season, if that, So let's see. Anything really else to really touch on the NBA about? Not really. Um, I don't think I got the chance to talk about this. Jalen Williams got extended. Him and Chet got extended. So the Thunder going all in again. I put up a poll. A lot of people didn't vote yet, but I put up a poll. Do you think they gonna repeat next year? I say right now. I say no. I think somebody else. Um, the way the West is now that what Houston did, what they did, we get Durant. I'm just unsure, so I just think. And they still, I mean, they played well in the playoffs, but Denver pushed them to 7 games. Indiana pushed them to 7, so maybe one of these times they go to 7, they might not, get through. They still young, even though they won. They still a young team, still need to learn more. But they definitely got a chance to do it. I'm not saying they have no chance. I just think the way the NBA has been lately, I just think another team might emerge and win it this year. So, um, but as training camp goes on, I might wind up picking. That's the crazy thing is I might wind up picking the Dago the repeat. But I was sure about Boston if they did get hurt. But the Knicks was pushing them even before Tatum went down. So. Um, I don't know. It just haven't been happening in the NBA. I think it shows the parity in the NBA for the first time in a long time. Usually once you got a team established, they usually hang around for years. They win, at least with 2 or 3 of them. So not probably in a row, but like the Warriors. You had the Warriors. You had the Heat. You had the Lakers, the Kobe Lakers with Gasol. Then it was a little. Yeah, it was a little. I guess. Yeah, it was a little break between the 2000 Lakers to the Kobe. Once Kobe got back established again. But I mean, but if you just count the whole decade, it was like, well, the Spurs. You got to throw the Spurs in there. Spurs was hanging around, also. Um, but you always got your teams. You know who's going to be there at the end. Now you don't know, especially in the East. You definitely don't know. The West, it's so many good teams. You just don't know what's going to happen, and that's great for any sport. So yeah. So right now, I don't think they're gonna repeat, but they could. I mean, that's basically what I'm saying. Is they got a shot, but I just think somebody might take them down this year. Um, but if you ask me who, I can't tell you who. So that's why what I'm saying sounds crazy, but I'm just going off recent history, I guess. That just somebody's going to do it. I just don't know who. Until maybe later on, before training camp and stuff. Well, we get there to the season. All right, so this is the debate everybody been talking about. First, well, as always, who's the GOAT? That's always the debate. LeBron and Mike usually is the two people that is basically in that debate. Some people say Kobe. Some people still say Kareem. Some people say a lot of some people throw in a couple other guys, but I made a lately there's been all these lists like the NFL. I'm looking at something right now to the left of me. They put out these lists, a top 10 quarterback list of today. I think they did the receivers list, so you will probably see some crazy stuff about that. But I'm gonna get my take on that Saturday. Saturday we go focus. Basically, the whole show will be about football, and then just our history of our show. So I'm not gonna touch much of it. But I mean, all these lists. Basically, the summertime. That's what the list. All these lists come out, right? So some people expect a list of 10. I made a top 10 list 3 years ago in June. I think it was June at the exact date, but it was June 2022. I did a top 10 list, and it basically didn't change. But I guess I would use this time to go over my honorable mentions. People that I even think can crack the list one day, that's playing today. Um, so, spoiler alert, these people are not on the list, but they might be on your list now, or they could be on my list later on. They still got time to play. So, number one, definitely an honorable mention. Definitely might be on the list, possibly by next year, by the end of this year. Steph Curry. What he's changed the game. Anytime you change the game, with the 3-point shooting, what he's done, he's definitely one of the greatest of all time. It's not even, that's not a question. Top 10, I still can't put him in my top 10 yet. If he he's what 36, 37 years old, I think. If he get that fifth title, I've definitely considered putting him in the top 10. And I'm about to reveal mines. So that means somebody will have to be out of that list, and it's gonna be hard. Like these 10 guys, I feel real strongly about. Um, so it's gonna be hard for me to take somebody off that list, but I'm gonna have to. If he wins the fifth title and he continue to play the way he plays, I would have to. I would have to put him on that list somehow. Somebody would have to come off, um, which is unfortunate, but that's the thing. It's your list. So somebody would have to come off the list. So, um, but he's one, and then I guess other players playing today. Kevin Durant. There's been a lot of talk about. Some people think he should be on the list, just because eye test more about eye test than accomplishments. Of course, he got 2 titles, but you know that some people don't give him much credit for them titles, even though you should, because he was the best player on the Warriors teams with those 2 titles. So, in my opinion, this should have some merit. But I mean, I get it. I like Kevin. I think Kevin Durant is one of the greatest. Like if you just look at the eye test, also like nobody, you never see nobody can score the basketball like him. He can score from all 3 levels, obviously. Um, Probably one of the purest jump shots. He was up there with Curry's in the history of the game. Um, I like the eye test thing. It's like hard to deny. Like if you said make an eye test list, like if you just go off eye test, he probably would make the list. But accomplishments matter. Um, other just a lot of other stuff matters. Um, but he's still playing. So I mean, I think he got a maybe outside shot of making the top 10 list of mine, maybe somebody else's. But I definitely respect this game and what he's done for the game also. So I throw him as an honorable mention. Giannis Antetokounmpo, still, well, I think he's still under the age of 30. The stuff he's doing in the NBA, I think his knock right now is probably winning championships. Like if he win a couple of championships, and continue this trajectory, that can help him a lot. But like I said, for me, even though I'm mentioning these guys, it's gonna be hard. They're gonna have to do a lot for me to put them on my list. These my top 10, almost 10 toes down. And only why, like I said, Steph, if he win another title and keep doing what he's doing, I would have to get somebody off of here, but I don't know who. Um, so he's another honorable mention. Nikola Jokic, what he's doing right now, also, um, can't deny what he's done. The MVPs, he got a title, but I think also just like with Giannis, he probably just got to win a little bit more. Um, but like I said, for me, I mean, it's gonna take a lot. But I put him in that category. Now this is a guy that probably will never make the list because he's not playing anymore. But I'm gonna mention him. Hakeem Olajuwon, he was one of my favorite players, one of the best centers I ever seen play. He has 2 titles. Um, and I think that's pretty much the only knock. If he'd have won about 4, he would definitely be on my list. Maybe 3. If he'd have won 3, I probably would put him on this list. I probably would put him on over the person that's 10th on my list, which I will reveal in a few minutes. So he's another one that I mean, just as me being one of my favorite players, and just like I said, eye test. Like if you go by eye test, he was definitely one of the best centers of all time. Period. So he's another honorable mention. Uh, I'm just gonna throw they the what I just still said. Steph, Kevin Durant. I said Giannis, Joker, Akeem. Yeah, that's pretty much it. But I throw a couple other names out there. Some people, Russell Westbrook. This because we did with the triple doubles, and James Harden. Those 2 names come up. But again, no titles. Harden, basically just stats. So it's hard for those 2 guys. But I heard some people throw their names out there. Um, of course, let's just name everybody. Um, just real quick: Charles Barkley, uh, Karl Malone, Pat. Like it's a lot of great players um, that probably could be considered high on the list. But and I only go to 10 because after 10, to me, it's basically preference and what you think. Even with this list, it depends on your preference. Like I reveal my list, but some people got certain people on this list higher. Some people don't have these people on their list. So this is and that's why I think people shouldn't get all bent out of shape about it. Like if your favorite player is who it is, your goat is who your goat is. I'm not going to push back on it. I give my opinion to tell you why, and I'll leave it at that. I'm not going to you know murder you for it. I mean, yeah, some people have ridiculous um, opinions, but that's your right to have your opinion. But some people like to just rile people up, though. You gotta keep that in mind. Some people just sometimes don't believe what they even saying. They just um, saying it because just to get you pissed off and get you all out your circle. So I know that. So when people say crazy stuff, yeah, I give my opinion, but I won't. I ain't gonna let them get under my skin. So all right. So with that being said, I told you my list didn't change. So this has been my list for 3 years, and it's still my list today. And here is my top 10. I'm gonna start from 10 and go up to 1. It'll probably get more obvious the more I go up on this list. All right, number 10. Like I said, this guy was dominant, especially in the 5-6 year span. Faded at the end. Shaquille O'Neal, and that's why I was saying like only person I consider putting in right now with Shaq is the Dream, and but you can't deny Shaq what he did, especially that Lakers run, which is he was the most dominant player. People said the history of the game during that time, the three-peat Lakers. Um, but he went to Miami. He was still Shaq, but it wasn't Shaq, but he was still Shaq. He was still the best player on the team. To D Wade, um, took over for that finals, got him another ring, get him his fourth ring, and then pretty much after that, he go to Phoenix, try to play with Steve Nash. That didn't turn out great. Um, went to Cleveland, try to play with LeBron. Then with the Boston. I think he was on the Boston team with Garnett and all them guys. But Shaq was way past his prime then. Um, but you can't deny. Some people have Shaq. I heard some list people got Shaq in the top 5. And like I said, he's not my top 5, but I'm not going to argue that Shaq was a great player. Um, but he's right now number 10. And if Steph, like I said, Steph is pretty much on the doorstep. Will I take out Shaq? I mean, I probably would have to over these guys over him. I probably would have to, because some of these guys I think just have to stay on the list for me. Me studying the history of the game, they would just have to stay on here. Wilt Chamberlain. Now, Wilt Chamberlain is sort of controversial because I think he only got 2 championships. Warriors, Sixers, and Lakers he played for. But Wilt's still in the record books, like today. Like, and I know, he probably was the only 7-footer in the league at the time when he did most of this stuff. You can argue that, but he still have a lot of NBA records that's never going to be touched, even with today's game. Now his scoring stuff might get touched, but as far as like field goal percentage, rebounds, all that stuff, that's never going to be touched in today's game. So he dominated the game. You can't tell the story of the NBA without Wilt. And if you go look at my list, I put asterisks by certain players' names because I never see, like I said, of course I never see Wilt play live or on TV or anything. So, but he's number 9 on my list. Bill Russell, number 8, Boston Celtics, of course, all the championships, same. But he was the one that was stopping Wilt. Wilt should have won more. But if it wasn't for Bill Russell, he would have won. He probably would have got off 6 or 7 himself. But Bill Russell, of course, rest in peace. Of course, Will Chamberlain also has passed away now. Um, Bill was just, I mean, he was just a pioneer of the game. Like, it's not just about, the accomplishments, yes. He was a great player, yes. He did score a lot. He was pretty much a defensive anchor, um, especially against Will Chamberlain. That's how the Celtics was always able to win and get by them. Um, but what he done for the game, off on and off the court, he was a great ambassador. So I got him number 8 all time. Number 7, Tim Duncan, Spurs. Probably the most underrated player of all time to me. If you just look at um, what he did for the Spurs on the court, um, just Mr. Fundamental. That was a great nickname for him. You know what he was going to get from him every night. Never complained, was quiet, just did his job, played basketball. Yeah, boring. That's the word that always come up. Boring. He was boring. He didn't talk to the media much. He didn't say much. Blah blah blah. Yakety smackety. But Tim Duncan, I mean, yeah, I mean the knock on him as far as on the court, he never won back-to-back championships. And I think he got close to that Miami series when he was pretty much past. I want to say he was done, but he was past his prime during that time. When Ginobili and Tony Parker, those guys, all of them was getting old then. And they still, that first, they lost, the Ray Allen shot. We all know they probably would have won the title that year. Then, of course, they destroyed them, got back to the finals and destroyed the Heat that second time, the second go round. So, and he was a big part of that. Number 1 pick, stayed at college all 4 years. And I think that's what also the young player, even though it's a one and done rule, the young players still come in at 19. Tim probably was like 23 at the youngest. So, but just the dominance on both sides of the ball. Speaking of Shaq, he had to, he stopped Shaq a couple times. So Tim Duncan, number 7 on my list. These, I was thinking about flipping these two. But Larry Bird, he been out the game a while. But Larry, like I said, is more of what he did for the NBA. Just period. Him and Magic pretty much saved the NBA in the 80s. The NBA was fading. If you go back and look at the history, they was saying it was just too drug affiliated, like drugs and all types of crap. But when that rivalry between him and Bird pretty much carried the NBA. It was other teams in there, the Pistons, the Sixers with Dr. J did it in his career. The Rockets a few times. Like I said, Detroit did it in the 80s. And of course, Mike came after that. But that pretty much saved it. If that wouldn't have happened, the NBA would probably be, it might be still around, who knows, but it wouldn't be nowhere near the level as it is today. So, but just on the court, he was a great player, also underrated defensive player. Could score the basketball, but he scored more efficiently. He didn't, the Celtics was a loaded team, and I think that's what some people, if you hold something against you, hold something against you. Play with a lot of great players. Parrish, McHale, of course, the 2 top players of that team. But Bird was the guy. He was the one. He was the leader of the team. So Larry Bird, number 6 on my list. Number 5, Kobe Bryant. I just couldn't put him over the 4 after him, but Kobe definitely deserves to be. That's why I don't basically, like I said, some people think Kobe. Some people got Kobe as they GOAT, and it'd be hard for me to argue. But Kobe did, for the NBA, how he came into the league. I think when I was, because when Kobe got drafted, I was basically about to go to high school, and it was a lot of negative perception around Kobe. He's too young because he came right out of high school. They think he was arrogant. um, too overconfident. That was the stuff you heard. And for the young Kobe, of course, the Utah playoff game when he airballed the shots. Um, but look at that, he came right back, um, and had a great career after that. Shaq, of course, came. Him and Shaq did what he did. Um, in the the three-peat. Uh, of course, we all know, which just brought up the last few days as well. It's been a lot of Kobe. I don't want to use the word slander. Slander might be a hard word, but a lot of just little jabs that why you didn't hear this stuff when he was still living. And rest in peace to Kobe Bryant. He's been passed away now 5 years. Like I said, I still remember the day it happened. It was on a Sunday. Um, it was the Pro Bowl was on 2000. This was right before COVID really took off in the country. Um, probably for the first time in my life, I I generally felt pain. Not with athlete, with your favorite athlete, your favorite entertainer, whatever. You know, I'm the type that I never been like a starstruck type person. I just think everybody's human. I start off with that. So let's just say I ever would meet anybody of stature, I would treat them like a human being. Not saying that people don't, but and want to grab them and get autograph. I wouldn't mind an autograph. Yeah, I would want an autograph just like anybody else and stuff like that. But I just I play my position and just treat them like a human being first. That's how I always been. And even when other people has tragically passed away, yeah, you feel sad, but it's not. You still don't really know them. But Kobe, I didn't know him either. But when I found out what happened, I didn't believe it. Of course, everybody was just in shock. But I actually felt pain. I almost felt like tears about to come out. I really felt hurt when he. And I guess because the way it happened, he was young. He was about to do a lot of things off the court. Then his daughter was with him as well, which makes it sad. And the other people is not diminished. I always say this because people, you got the people that say, well, it was other people on the helicopter too. Yes, all those people lives value just as much as Kobe. But let's just be real, Kobe is Kobe. So, but just to get off of that, just to look at him as a player, he's top five to me. I did debate between, well, in my mind, I went between him and Magic. But what Magic did, like I said, it's not just the accomplishments, it's what he did for the NBA as far as like keeping it alive. So that's why I give Magic a slight edge over Kobe. But Kobe Bryant definitely deserved to be on the list. And I think it's a list out there that don't have Kobe in their top 10. That's just nuts. Like, that is just crazy. If he's not on your top 10 at least, um, I don't understand why he wouldn't be. You had to definitely explain that to me. What he did, everybody, the first three titles, they diminished because he was with Shaq. Um, but that first one, the one against Indiana, I always bring this up, and everybody always do. That playoff game, Shaq fouled out. Yeah, Shaq fouled out. You know, Kobe was sort of struggling in that game effort, but when he just took over that game, I knew, all right, this guy is going to be something in this league. That's what woke me up to say, okay, Kobe has arrived. And the other two titles they just dominated. Um, who they play? They played Philly the second year, and then Brooklyn. Well, now they did Brooklyn Nets with the New Jersey Nets. They swept, um, but then what Kobe did after Shaq left, still carried the Lakers until they got Gasol, and still carried them then. And they built a good team around him, but it was still Kobe. He was just an 81-point game. I mean, it's just so many things Kobe's done. He's tried, like, he gave it his all every night. Um, just like Jordan, just like a lot of other players, but those two, for sure, left it all out on the court. So rest in peace, Kobe. You my fifth player, best player of all time. And I just mentioned Magic, so I'm going to translate to Magic. Like I said, just, definitely all-time Laker. And I think that's why I gave Magic the edge as well. Um, he had a tragedy in his life. with the HIV. But look, he's striving, having a great life. Of course, that hits home with me because I lost some people to that disease. So my aunt, my uncle, and my older sister also. Um, so so I look up to him for that. Also, it just like I said, him and Bird saved the NBA. And Magic, like I said, probably the best point guard of all time. Some people say Steph. Now I can't give Steph that. I'm sorry. It's not even close. It's Magic all the way. Steph is not really a point guard to me. Like I'm an old school basketball player. Steph is not a point guard. He plays the position, but he's not the point guard. Draymond pretty much runs the point. Runs the offense. Steph is more of a shooting guard. As so, just on that alone, uh, you can't say Steph is in the room now. Just as players, maybe we could talk a little bit, but still Magic. Um, his passing, his he could score when he had to. Magic. It's been times he had to score. 5 championships, of course. Um, just like I said, he saved the NBA in the '80s, so he's number 4. Now these three, like I said, to me, this is my list, but these 3 guys to me can't be touched at all. These my top 3 is not even like no. I don't see nobody else cracking this top 3. So that should be saying something about the controversial person, of course, that's on this top 3. Kareem Abdul-Jabbar. Um, you talk to an old person, they'd probably say Jabbar like is still Jabbar, and I would argue with him. What Kareem did in the NBA, and we just go with NBA, you know, NBA. So I don't want to touch on the cup, but like, if you go back that far, this guy was always just the most dominant player, no matter what uh, level it was, no matter what it was. Unstoppable sky hook shot, of course. 6 championships. Um, just was a freak of nature, man. Just was great. Like I mean, then what he did for the NBA, also um, changed his name. Of course, he was Lou Alcindor, of course, at first. Went through a lot of flack um, with that. Tried to be an activist for the community, things of that nature. Kareem, I don't see now. I don't know where people have, but he don't come up at all when it comes to the GOAT, which is to be crazy. If you look at the history of this game, he will always be a top 3 player to me, unless, like I said, I mean, I guess I got a long life to live, but I don't see it happening. This guy, like I said, I would argue with you if you say he was still your GOAT, because he was the GOAT before Jordan happened, before LeBron happened. He was the GOAT, so I don't see. I just think it's just about time. Now it's a new generation. He pretty much sort of forgot about. Nobody knows who Jabbar is as far as a basketball player in the modern era. So, but he's top 3. It shouldn't be a debate for that. Number 2, LeBron James. Now I say this, I got LeBron too. Some people, I mean, I guess I watch a lot of YouTube and a lot of television. Um, it's so much, so many opinions out there, but some of them, I do get some. I don't want to say LeBron James haters, but but I understand why he's annoying. I'm just put it like that. He can be annoying sometimes. Some of the stuff he do, the little tweets and stuff that he do, it's like he's trying to push himself to be the GOAT. Like Jordan, and Jordan is number 1, obviously. Jordan, he just didn't do that. He let y'all talk. He let the people talk. And then with the Last Dance, that woke up a lot of the younger generation that probably haven't seen Jordan play. But LeBron, now I don't get the people that go to the stream and saying he's just basically almost can't play, or basically overrated at the point that he shouldn't even be considered. Like, I want to say he's only why I got him over Jabbar because, um, be honest, I just think, and maybe it's just I give him credit for, like I said, even though he didn't win. How many did he win when he went? I think he went to 8 straight finals. Like nobody, that's crazy. Who goes to 8 straight finals? Regardless, you know, that's an accomplishment to me. Um, the all-time leader scorer thing that don't matter to me because that is longevity. But because Jabbar played 20 years, so um, so you can go back and forth about that. I just think with Herschel LeBron also he moved around too much. Um, I think that hurts. Uh, and just some of the stuff that he do in the media. But if you take that stuff out, just look at him as a player. Um, what he did in that against the Pistons as a young Cavalier, pretty much I don't want to say he carried the league because Kobe and other good players in the league, but um, to embrace that pressure, I really honestly, I guess I give him credit for this. He overachieved to me. Like I didn't think he was gonna be this good. I didn't. I thought he was gonna be another high school player out of high school. Yeah, he'd have a couple of good years, and then he'd fade off. I really thought that was going to be the case with this guy. So he exceeded my expectation. That's why I give him credit for that. Um, he has made teams. He's taken some. Before the Miami. Since the Miami thing, yeah, he's been on pretty decent teams that he's built himself. So, but before that, when he was young, the young Cavaliers when they got to the finals against the Spurs, that was all him. And I just wish he'd have kept that attitude more. But when you got the power to do what he does, who wouldn't do it? That's what you got to ask yourself that question. Like, would you would have done it if you had the same opportunities that he had, or would you have done anything differently? Or will you exercise? Eventually, will you exercise your power if you have it? I think that's a question you got to ask yourself. So he's number 2 on my list. But he got to stop the little petty stuff. Like right now, I don't know what's going on with him and the Lakers, but um, I don't think he's going nowhere. Um, but he got to understand he's 40 now. They should focus on what Luka wants or what Luka build around Luka more. And LeBron should sort of stepping back a little bit. Of course, he's still a great player, um, even at 40. But all this little stuff, put out this thing about 4 teams is interested in trading for him. He's almost impossible to trade anyway because it's a salary and things of that nature. So, um, Lakers do got new ownership, so it's going to be interesting to see what happens the next couple months before the season. But if stuff keep coming out, he keep doing all this petty stuff. I don't know what's going to happen. But the Lakers are smart to focus on Luka. They got DeAndre Ayton. It seemed like he wasn't pretty much fond of that. So it's just some. That's the only thing. LeBron is irritating. That's the thing. I think that's what rub people wrong with. He's a little annoying. He's a little irritating. But that's the way he is. But I got him number 2 all time. He's accomplished a lot in this league, and I think you can't deny that. So of course, number 1 is Michael Jordan. Like it's not a question. You could go look at. I just brought up The Last Dance. Go look at that if you're a younger guy. But I actually seen Jordan in his prime as a kid, as a teenager. What he done in the NBA is just he put it on his back. At the Magic and Bird sort of got old basically. He finally got over the Detroit Pistons, what was in his way, but then after that he just skyrocketed and took off. Won 3 straight. Was it 91, 92, 93? Tragically lost his father. That came out again. People don't remember this. My father got murdered that summer, I think, after he won his 3rd championship. A lot of controversy because Mike liked to gamble and people was throwing out all types of stuff. There's rumors that the NBA also, um, sort of pushed him out the door of his first retirement. So he retires. for about a year and a half. Comes back mid-season in '94, I think. They lose to the Magic in the semis. Then they took off again. Um, three straight again. Um, people argue they could have won 8 in a row if he wouldn't have retired. And I think I think once you get on top, even Michael Jordan, he was bored. I think that was part of his also he wanted to challenge himself. He wanted to play baseball for a little while. The killers it was LeBron's we had LeBron, him on the podcast, him with Kevin Durant. Durant sort of apologized, and I give Kevin Durant credit because Kevin, he's also like to go back and forth with fans and stuff like that when people say things. But I'm glad he did apologize. I think he really probably either forgot or didn't know about that element of Mike's father being murdered. So I give it up for him for apologizing for what he said on the podcast with LeBron. I still never really heard all. I just heard snips and pieces. Basically, they said he basically quit while he was on top. Basically that was the premise of what they said. Um, but no, that wasn't the case. There was a lot of other circumstances involving his first retirement. The second one, of course, if you look at the last dance, it was more Bulls management. They just, well, I understand that. Like, if you win it, like, why? But Mike was like, look, if field goal, because I think Phil Jackson was having issues with the front office also. Um, so he said, field goal, I go. So George just decided to retire. Got the itch again, became an owner for the Washington Wizards, got the itch again, sold his majority ownership, went back and played a couple years with the Wizards, a little song, um, and then he retired. But just look at the impact he had on the NBA. The NBA wouldn't be nowhere where it is without him. Also, Kobe Bryant, you could sort of not say that Mike had everything. Kobe did it himself, but Kobe implemented. He admitted he took a lot of what Michael did and tried to eliminate it with his game. And look what you got, Kobe Bryant out here. Um, and Michael Jordan is just the iconic figure that he is. I just don't see, if you know anything about basketball, I don't see how you don't have Michael Jordan as your greatest player of all time. But I was talking to another brother of mine, my man Fat Man, Don Parker. Shout out to my bro, my big bro, my best friend. We just talk. He's not into sports per se, but just about lists and goats and all that stuff. I participated in it, but I don't. I just think it's what you like or what your preference is. I don't get bent all out of shape and ready to fight people and stuff like that, like some people do. I give my opinion. You agree, you don't agree with it, fine. That's fine. You got your GOAT or whatever. Or your best player, your favorite player. I got players I love. I separate the two. Like I said, I'm a this weekend, like I said, we have a big football show. I'm gonna look up my I did a top 5 quarterback list. I'm gonna revisit that and see if I want to change anything on that. But I got Brett Favre on my list. I just remember that thing. I got Brett Favre 5th. And I think some people push back on me with that, but I was like, Brett was my guy. Like every Sunday I love watching Brett Favre. And then not that he won one Super Bowl, got to another. He's top 5 in pretty much almost every category still. Some guys start to come up, but he was just my guy. So it's like I just had to put him in my top 5. Just like I said, the dream. Like it's hard for me to keep the dream out, but I could deny what Shaq did, even though he beat Shaq head to head in the finals. So I just give my opinion and I try to take everything into account, everything. So, but Michael Jordan is just there's no question he's the GOAT. I don't want to say no question. It kind of is because, like I said, I still don't think LeBron. I think you can talk about it, but I don't think when you come down to it, I think you still can't put LeBron over Mike. So that's just my opinion. Some people, like I said, some people throw Kobe in there. Some people throw Kobe in there. So So that's it. That's it, man. That's it. You know, I want to touch on that because that's been the big hot topic of discussion lately. And it's going to probably be a discussion until the season starts, or until football season starts. Then people start talking about football more. But yeah, so football lists out there. I want to touch on that Saturday. Um, just other quick news. Caitlin Clark is injured again. She left the game last night with the fever. They won the game. Try to get some WNBA stuff in here. She's hurt again, so they're gonna reevaluate her, see what's going on with her. So we'll see how that shakes out. Um, I mean, other sports news, not really much. Like I said, I pretty much touched on every day. Oh well, football. The Jets. I guess the Jets got a little money, huh? They gave Sauce Gardner an extension, and they gave the receiver Garrett Wilson the extension. They gave Sauce his yesterday. I think Garrett got his. I think over the weekend. So the Jets, serious about those two players. But I think that's smart. They did two cornerstones on both sides of the ball. Go ahead and lock them up now. But I think the Jets, like I said, the Jets in the AFC, definitely a team that could surprise some folks. And I think in the NFC, maybe the Bears. A lot of people's on the Vikings. I'm not as high as the Vikings as some people are. But that division is just, Detroit. Really, all four of those teams in that division is strong. But the Jets, I think overall, if you just take the whole league, I think some people expected them just to be an average team. I think they could probably be a playoff team. I really believe so. If everything comes together with Justin Fields, and I believe it could. So that's the team to watch out for. But Saturday, we're going to look at the NFC East. Actually, I'm about to go ahead and do my Philadelphia Eagles. Everybody was waiting for me to talk about the Eagles. Today is the Eagles' day. So I'm going to do my short on the Philadelphia Eagles on my other channel, Solid Sports, the Game of Shorts. Go ahead over there. All 32 teams. Well, it was about to be 31, so we only got one team left after the day. It's the Washington Commanders, and then we'll be done with the roundabout series for the summer and training camp about to start. So I think the Chargers, I heard them say, start their training camp today. So I think they're in the Hall of Fame game. So the two Hall of Fame game teams probably start training camp this week. I don't know who the other team is in the Hall of Fame game this year. But yep. So that's it. We had a lot. I thought I'd be shorter, but the top 10 list got things a little longer. Nobody popped in. That's fine. Watch the replay. The All-Star game in MLB was great last night. My top 10 list is on YouTube right now or on my social media. I reposted it there as well. So check that out if you want to see my top 10 list again. This weekend, like I said, we're going to talk football, talk NFC East. We're going to talk some lists. I've been trying to pull up my quarterback list of all time. We're going to talk about all that. We're going to talk about these lists that's coming out. Now they got the receivers list or whatever other list. I'm going to try to navigate through that. And we'll talk about that Saturday. Our special 300th episode. So we're going to have a lot of fun. I'm going to put some things together there. So we have some fun for our 300th episode. Friday night streams. I got a surprise. I got a game lined up that I want to play. It'll be a brand new game. I'll give you a hint here. It's a sports game. So you might can narrow it down there. It's a sports game. And that's all I'm going to tease about that. And I wanted to play this game last year. So I'm going to get a chance to play it this year, hopefully, on Friday night. So, but thank you guys so much for watching. I appreciate you guys so much for being here. This is episode 299. It's in the books. Appreciate you guys so much. If you like, comment, share, subscribe. We're growing slowly but surely. And I appreciate all my new people, all my older people that's been here for the jump. I appreciate everybody. Definitely like to hear from you guys. That's why I like comments. So go ahead and comment. Send me a comment. I'll respond to it. Trust me. I love all you guys, man. Thank you guys for being here. Happy Wednesday. I see you guys Friday night for Friday night streams. And peace and love always, guys. Peace out. See you guys next time. Peace and love.